All right, good afternoon. As we move into our final session for the evening, or the afternoon, not quite evening yet, we turn our attention away from the technical aspects of exit and succession, and we now focus in on the human experiences that come alongside individuals as they navigate exit and succession. In this session, we're really going to give ourselves space to address the emotional realities, the personal transformations, the internal journeys that entrepreneurs face. So we have 20-ish minutes, and we're going to hear some real stories and get some practical insights from this amazing panel that you guys see before you. Each one of these individuals collectively have owned, sold, purchased, founded multiple businesses over the course of their own journey. So we're going to get into introductions, but you haven't met me yet, so I'll go first. My name is Katie Berganske. I am the Chief Revenue Officer at Clearwater Capital Partners. And one of the things that I love about my role is that I get to lead the client experience initiatives at our firm. So the human experiences, a really nice correlation to the conversation today. Our firm, our work, much like what you're going to hear from the panel today, underscores that transitions, like what you've heard all about, are not just financial events, they're deeply human ones where we are so proud to come alongside our clients as their guide, as they're navigating these journeys and going through various transitions. So with that, it is my pleasure to open up so that our panel can introduce themselves, and we're going to start with Joe, and we'll come on down the line.
Hello. My name is Joe Pringle. I was born and raised in the western suburbs of Hinsdale, and I came from a family where it was family businesses were the norm. I kind of thought everybody had a family business. I would have been Gen 5 in my mother's family's business, and I was actually worked in my father's family business, which was a steel company, was the first thing that I got involved in. I'm married. I have 4 children. They're all married. I have 10 grandchildren, and I just celebrated my 45th wedding anniversary with my bride, so that's great. So that's a little bit about me.
Tony Chen. I've had a 25-year career essentially as a serial entrepreneur. Started 7 businesses, mostly in the data analytics and software arenas. 4 of them went down the tubes. 3 of them turned into exits. I also spent 3 years living with my family in rural Kenya. You can ask me about that sometime. Amazing life-transforming experience. And have run a venture capital fund focused on African startups. And now I'm actually starting fintech specifically for Africa.
Hi, I'm John Pitzaferro. I'm a Christ follower. I've been married to my wife for 34 years. We have 4 kids. I know the question in everybody's mind right now is, did Joe Pringle's family start Pringle's potato chips? They did not. So, no potato chips over there. But yeah, I'm up here because I started a company in 1999, I think, 98, and sold it in 2020, a financial technology company.
I think there's more to that story while you're up here. So we're going to run this segment and go through these questions as before, during, and after an exit. But as you can imagine, every story never stays in between the lines. So the first question that we have is going to be a full panel question, but John, I would like you to lead it. What did you believe an exit would mean for your life personally, professionally, before you went through it?
Well, I was pretty blessed to be working with just people that I love to work with, doing what I love to do. So I didn't want to have an event unless I thought my life was like going to change a lot, have alter change in my life and basically be able to do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. So that was kind of the thought in my head as to what was going through my mind. Yeah. And that's why I think I stayed in a lot longer than most people probably would have stayed in it.
Tony?
Yeah, before the exit, I was getting really excited about what the exit would mean for our life, the financial freedom. I sort of felt like we had passions and interests that we really wanted to give to, so it may be like this exit would catch up our giving to our hearts in a way. The exit was also really exciting in the sense of how can I leverage this exit now to now build the next thing that's going to be even more interesting and insightful and impactful. I was also really scared that the money would make me a jerk. And I'm, 5 days out of 7, I'm pretty successful about that. But yeah, I was honestly scared about like how the money might change me, but had really good community around to kind of keep me in check.
I probably should give a little bit more background. When I just got out of college, my mother's family did exit their business, and I got to watch 50 family members actually win the lottery all at once. And so that was kind of an interesting thing. Most of them were not prepared for an exit. They didn't understand the difference between an asset and a liability, and honestly, it ruined a lot of their lives. I was the genius that actually sold all of my stock that became it appreciated quite a bit afterwards so that I could buy the business from my father in the steel business. So I'm in the slow growth thing, and they're all exploding with wealth. It was a sad story because it actually ended up where that company ended up going public. It went public, and it actually crashed because the particular company that bought them, it went broke, so a lot of people lost all the money that they had. So it was kind of a bad thing. They needed someone like Clearwater Capital to really help them through that. They didn't experience that. So I bought the business from my father and then did another acquisition after that, bought a much larger company after that. And that was in 1990. For some of the older people in the room, they'll understand this, that in 1990, that was one of the dips it was a very difficult time from basically 1990 almost all the way to 1999. In the steel business, it was particularly a difficult time. So I was managing through a very trying particular time frame, was under a lot of pressure because I'd taken on debt to actually buy that other company. So I was getting to the point where there was an uptick in the market, and I realized that I had to sell. I was only 40 years old at that particular time. There's that pressure of a third generation in a business. Why are you selling? I actually asked, my father asked me, why are you selling at this particular point? You're only 40 years old. And he was holding some of the paper that was behind the bank. And I said, well, do you care about getting your money back? He said, sell the business. So I went through the process relating to that. So for me, a lot of it was to get rid of, a lot of what we heard about today was everything was kind of, up and to the right. This, business goes through lots of different changes, and it's quite difficult. And so for me, it was to take pressure off me. I was working really, really long hours, had 4 kids during that time frame, and wasn't home very much, and it just wasn't the lifestyle and the pressure that I wanted. So I was able to sell at a profit where I could actually have some assets to actually remarshal and go into something different after that. So that's what I was hoping for personally.
Yeah, that's great. John, you and your wife Stacy were a guest on Entrepreneurial Legacies with John Sleeting, and there was a moment where you guys talked about this heart wrestling, before making a decision to sell your business. You struggled with it. Can you shed a little bit of light on that emotional journey, and then how you got to the other side of it with your head and your heart to then decide to sell?
Yeah, so as I shared earlier, I got close with our staff. We actually called ourselves a business family. And so you don't sell your family, right? So it was, there was just a lot of turmoil going on in my head of, how could I possibly monetize this when I've kind of grown up with some of these people, and what's going to happen to them. And so talking to John and some other trusted friends and advisors, and my wife kind of basically telling me, you need to go away and go on a sabbatical, get your head together and figure out if you want to sell this thing or not, because I would say, oh, we're going to sell it, and then I would say, no, we're not going to sell it. We're going to sell it, no, we're not going to sell it, because it was just this, this tension, and it was almost torment of trying to figure out what to do. And I went away for a week with my Bible and nothing else, and the other things I brought with me was some scriptures that a lot of my friends gave me to look at and ponder. And I came back thinking, yeah, I think it's okay to have an event, and that's how I got to the other side of it.
Yeah, thank you. So Joe and John, this one's for you. You guys owned, sold multiple businesses. Can you share some of the things that you did before the exit that you are glad you did it that way?
Yeah, one of the things I think I did right was I wasn't prepared. I wish I'd gone through this kind of presentation before I sold the first time around. And one of the things was really understanding the process of what they were going to value, that I'm valuing it as a business, as an ongoing business, and when somebody else is buying it, having that ability to actually transfer that value and understanding what the value was going to be from the purchaser wasn't something I had properly thought through. And one of the things, fortunately, I really understood my balance sheet pretty well, and one of the things they wanted to highly discount was aged inventory and aged accounts receivable. And they were basically going to be giving me 10% of what the value was on the books, and I'd already written off what was truly the bad accounts receivable, and I'd already taken that. So what I ended up doing was taking those off the table, and I took those, and I actually sold them post the sale. It took 6 months to do that, and actually got about 170% of the value by knowing it and doing that. So that was one thing that I felt like I did right. So being prepared, really understanding your balance sheet, understanding what your assets are, and not doing it late like I did, but really understanding what is the purchaser going to value as opposed to what I valued as a business owner.
So, John, I'm gonna skip you on that one, and we're just gonna keep on moving forward and talk about during the exit, because I know that you have a lot to say about that. So, for the full panel, Joe, John, Tony, what caught you guys most off guard, either positively or negatively, during the process? So, John, how about you kick that off?
Well, I would say the most negative thing was I decided to use the attorney that my investment banker recommended, and that was over $1 million in attorney's fees for that attorney that I did not like him at all. Large national firm. I would say never ever use the attorney that your investment banker recommends. That'd be my first one. My second piece of advice would be to make sure you get John Sleedy on your team early because he's just fantastic, and not just talking about financial management, but just having somebody you can trust in your corner. As you're talking about monetizing your life's work, what is going to happen to it after you monetize it? Like if I didn't have John, I probably still would be running that business because I wouldn't have trusted somebody to hand it to take care of it for me, because basically I handed my baby to him. So that would be another one, is having a great person that you can trust in the financial advisory team.
Tony?
Yeah, I would say the emotional whiplash. Like in one moment, it's like, this is going to be the best moment of my life. And then a few minutes later, it's like, they're actually trying to screw you. And then next moment is, oh shoot, it actually might not happen. I haven't even had breakfast yet at this point, right? So it's like, this is like the voices that are going to start speaking to you. So I think these big transitions, like there's a lot of voices that start speaking to you, internal and external. So it's like being able to listen to the right voices is very helpful.
I would say just trying to run a business as an ongoing business and not having everybody in the world know about that we're possibly going to exit and have them leave. And then also just the amount of time that it's required, and the questions that are asked and all the things that you have to do can be pretty overwhelming, and not having, in my case, a big enough team to kind of help me with that. And I was a little bit under duress to actually get a deal done. I didn't have a lot of options. So that was for me.
Thank you. So, Tony, this question is just for you. When we were coming up to the stage, we listened to the clip with Jeff Hanen, and he talked about who you become during a process. And part of his conversation focused on the dynamics of having a partner and going through a transition, which in my opinion is much different than if you're just the one in charge, right? Some personality dynamics and that kind of thing. Can you talk about your own experience there, and maybe even some advice that you might have for anybody leaning into that with a partner?
Yeah, so as I said, the voices get really loud, right? Everyone's trying to give you advice. Everyone has an idea. You have a lot of ideas for yourself, and now you have a business partner who has all those same voices talking to him too. Including, in my case, his wife was really anxious about everything. And so he would show up, and I would be listening to him, and I'm like, I feel like it's not him that's saying that, it's someone else. So, I mean, at some point, I really just, like, my wife and I just had to have dinner with him and his wife to just sort of, let's like reset, calm down, and like remember what the end goal is here, and just really calm those voices. And so honestly, having a business partner can be great. Sometimes it's like I'm running off the ranch and he's actually saving me, and vice versa. But so again, just going back to being able to center yourself, how do you center yourself when things get really crazy around you, when there's a whirlwind around you? What do you rely on?
Yeah, so actually that makes for a really great transition to go into after the exit. And a lot of things that you're talking about are good reflections to have. So you've gone through multiple exits, Tony, and you have also uniquely walked alongside many entrepreneurs post-exit, and you created this thing called a reflection guide. Tell us a little bit about what that is, why you created it, and maybe even some insights that you gleaned from.
Yeah, so after my third exit, for some reason, I just kept running into entrepreneurs that were about to exit, and I started walking with them, and a lot of those guys blew up their lives right afterwards, to be honest. One guy ended up in prison. I mean, so it's just, I just felt for these people who are, supposedly it's one of the best things that will happen in your life, but it turns out entrepreneurs who are very driven are often driven by things that are not great. I'm one of them, or I was one of them, I feel like. And so many entrepreneurs I know, has anyone, maybe don't do a show of hands, but has everyone had a rebound relationship? A lot of entrepreneurs have rebound companies, and they just take all the same stuff from before and pull it into the new company and start a new company. And so I just saw a lot of lack of reflection and self-awareness from entrepreneurs, to the point where I created a reflection guide to just be like, just take it easy, take some time to think, take some time to reflect, ask some people who love you how this business has affected you, how this business has affected them, and really process the whole chapter that you've been through. So I think I just say, take some time to reflect. Yeah. It's a big moment. These seasons that we get of big transition in life, they're very infrequent and they're very special. And I just feel like if you spend the time to really do those short seasons well, the long seasons go much, much better.
Thank you. So the dust has settled. You guys have all gone through your exit. Did you have a now what moment? And John, do you want to kick off?
Well, I started a foundation early. I started a non-for-profit early, and I started another for-profit company early before we had our event, so I'd have something to do and not end up in jail. So we did do some stuff to be able to kind of keep the team together too, and people that I wanted to do life with, I wanted to have something to do with them. So we did that. So, but after the event, somebody said it earlier. It was like one of the worst days of their life. I wouldn't say it was the worst day of my life, but it definitely was not what I thought it would be. Like, oh no, I can fly private, I can do whatever I want, you know, like that kind of wore off pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So
I remember being in the car, my wife was driving, I was logging into my Chase account, and now the number's bigger. And I show her, and she's like, oh, okay. And in that moment, I just remember thinking, I'm still the same dude. I still have the same marriage. I still have the same insecurities. Like, it's all the same, actually. It's just like there's a number in some digital thing that's bigger. So what? Like, so I think it just really made me think about, like, what's actually important in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe?
For me, you know, it was just the aha moment for me was, well, one thing was that, you know, kind of had a party mentally, you know, woohoo, you know, got a bunch of money in the account, you know, I did it, I got there, and, but then April 15th rolled around, and there was a knock on the door, and, you know, to this day, it's the largest check I've ever written, and I was really bummed because I felt like I funded a nanosecond of the federal debt, and I was very passionate about a school down in North Lawndale that we'd been involved with for, at this point, 33 years, and I could have made such a difference to that school if I'd actually known about and planned in advance, either using some of the business prior to the sale or, you know, talking with Tiffany, I did have that ability to actually would have been able to give. Probably the most efficient thing would have been to give the real estate, and my taxes would have basically been zero, and it would have made a big difference. So I would say, if you think about on your exit, make sure you don't make the mistake that I did, to be able to actually do something that I was really passionate about, that I could have funded, that I felt like would have made a big difference. Still am doing that, working on that, but I just feel like I had a really big miss there. So every other exit since then, I always gift before the sale. I have done it multiple times. It's complicated, but it's easy to do once you get in the rhythm and you understand it. So I think that's something to just be aware of. John and his team knows about it, and we've done it a lot with some of their people, and so that's great.
That actually is a great transition right into our last question. Rapid fire, guys. So words of wisdom, last piece of advice, really pithy.
Me?
Oh, sure, Joe, why don't you kick it off?
No, I don't want to go first.
I
Tony.
can go first. I guess I'll just say that I think a lot of entrepreneurs wait to live the life that they want to live after the exit. Why wait? Like, why not just start living the life you want to live now? I mean, some of the stuff you can't do without some funds, but probably most of the stuff that is most important you can do without. So go live it out now.
I would say that you can't prepare too soon. So if you're even thinking about having an event in the future, I would talk to John Sleeting or maybe one of these other advisors that are here. I would talk to John Sleeting, but you know, you can talk to whoever you want. But yeah, you can't start too early to just start getting your mind prepared and start figuring out what you need to do so that you can maximize whatever you're trying to maximize in the event.
I'd say just be super intentional about understanding your family, their situation, and how much is too much for your family. Those buckets that John showed, I think, is super, super critical. And every one of our 4 kids is different and have different needs. And we're not going to be even with each one of the kids of what they're getting. We've had lots of meetings about it. They understand exactly what's going on. Most of the money is going to be given away, and we're using it, you know, kind of for good. And they're a part of that process, and they're really excited about it. Each one of them is on their own path, and I think successful. And if I dumped too much money too early to them, I think it would have ruined them figuring out who they were uniquely and wonderfully made to be. And so I think that legacy is actually the thing I'm most proud of, is the way our kids are really on an amazing path.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Really appreciate you being here, talking about the emotional journey.